General Hospital will reveal behind the glittering lights and televised glamour of this year's Nurses' Ball at General Hospital lies a world as vibrant, chaotic, and emotionally charged as anything seen on screen. The backstage atmosphere, a fusion of excitement, anticipation, and raw authenticity, transforms the soap opera's annual centerpiece into something greater than a scripted event. It becomes a living organism powered by talent, timing, and teamwork. Even before the cameras began to roll, the cast and crew were already immersed in a fast-paced symphony of logistics, creativity, and collaboration. It wasn't just about lines and costumes, it was about honoring a legacy, delivering an unforgettable performance, and embracing the electricity that pulses through the veins of live production. From the earliest hours of the morning, the studio backlit behind Metro Court was already alive with activity. Long rows of production trucks lined up under the first soft light of dawn, humming with energy as grips unloaded equipment and lighting rigs. Inside, the atmosphere was nothing short of frenetic. Stylists rushed between dressing rooms, arms full of garment bags and accessory cases, while makeup artists prepped palettes for every skin tone, hairstyle, and character look imaginable. Set decorators meticulously adjusted floral arrangements and banners, ensuring that even the smallest visual detail reflected the elegance of the fictional gala. One by one, cast members arrived through the side entrance, greeted by assistant producers handing out freshly updated scripts. With clipboards in hand, they checked off arrivals and directed each actor toward wardrobe and hair and makeup stations. Every face bore the same expression, a mixture of eager adrenaline and quiet pressure. For many, this wasn't just another episode. It was the Nurses' Ball, a tradition steeped in soap opera history and viewer expectation. Every glance, every gesture, every blink could become a viral moment, dissected on social media and embedded in fan memory for years to come. In one corner of the set, just off the red carpet staging area, Braden and Gio shared a light-hearted exchange while Leslie, host of Young Hollywood, approached with a roaming camera. The boys lit up naturally, their laughter and camaraderie filling the frame and creating a warmth that stood in stark contrast to the precision and pace surrounding them. Leslie's presence brought levity to the flurry of backstage motions, offering cast members a moment to breathe, reflect, and connect with the fans in real time. Her interviews, later shared online, became a treasure trove of behind-the-scenes gems. Candid confessions, heartfelt memories, and funny mishaps that painted a fuller picture of life behind the lens. Meanwhile, preparations for the first major scene were well underway. The opening shot would take place at the main hallway entrance of Metro Court, a location meticulously dressed to reflect the grandeur of a fictional high society event. Lucy, tasked with making the event's grand introduction, stood poised beside Sebastian. The infamous llama, brought in as a quirky yet symbolic addition to the scene. The assistant director called for silence as cameras settled onto their dolly tracks, preparing to capture a seamless glide toward Lucy's entrance. Coordinating with the cue of the music, the crew rehearsed the timing multiple times. Every second mattered. When the final take was captured, Lucy emerging from a limousine, waving to invisible guests and petting the llama with dramatic flair. It elicited a quiet cheer from the control room. It wasn't just about getting the shot, it was about nailing the feeling. Elsewhere, Drew and Nina were rehearsing lines for what would become one of the episode's most emotionally loaded confrontations. With scripts in hand, they leaned into each other, murmuring last-minute adjustments and sharing tips on tone and inflection. Once the director signaled action, they transformed. Anger, betrayal, and vulnerability pouring through their voices as the scene played out. But the moment cut echoed through the set, the energy shifted. Smiles reappeared, shoulders relaxed, and the two actors quietly exchanged a high five before a crew member swooped in to adjust Nina's necklace and smooth Drew's lapel. Camera operators adjusted focus lenses and double-checked color balances, while sound techs monitored mic levels through headphones. The intensity of live-to-tape television meant that every department needed to be in perfect synchronization. In a side tent converted into a monitoring booth, producers huddled over live feeds, making split-second calls on camera angles and timing. Stage managers moved like dancers, cueing extras, herding background actors into place, and delivering props to their marks with military precision. Outside that hustle, between takes, Eden and Giovanni sipped from reusable water bottles and laughed over a TikTok that a makeup artist showed them. Just yards away, Maurice reviewed his script quietly, lips moving silently, while a stylist brushed invisible lint off the lapel of his classic black suit. The contrast between what the audience eventually sees and what actually happens behind the camera is staggering. For instance, while Lucy's introduction may appear spontaneous and effortless, it took 3 takes, 2 llama handlers, and a lighting correction before the director was satisfied. Every character's entrance on the red carpet had to be filmed twice, once for wide angle, once for close-up, and each with reset cues for music, applause effects, and facial reactions. The amount of coordination required to film even the simplest dialogue exchange was staggering. And yet, in spite of the complexity, there was a deep sense of unity. Cast members, from legacy characters to newer additions like Trina and Kai, supported one another with encouraging words and subtle gestures. Between scenes, veteran actors offered advice, while crew members whispered cues to nervous performers awaiting their next entrance. One assistant director jokingly taped the day's call sheet to his back for easy access. "In case anyone needs to know what scene's next while I'm running past you," he quipped. The scene featuring Drew and Willow dancing under a canopy of white lights, soon to become the night's most emotionally charged climax, was rehearsed in silence before the music was added in post-production. Dozens of people stood just off camera, holding their breath as the couple swayed, lips almost touching, emotions thick in the air. When the director called, "Print it," even the camera dolly operator exhaled like he'd been holding that moment inside him. It was, in the words of one-line producer, soap opera magic in its purest form. As filming wrapped late into the evening, the set was still aglow with excitement and satisfaction. The exhaustion showed on every face, but so did pride. The backstage footage captured not just the polish of the nurses' ball, but the imperfections and effort that gave it soul. And for those watching from afar, whether on screens or scrolling through behind-the-scenes posts, the magic wasn't just in the final edit. It was in the sweat-streaked makeup, the last-minute line changes, the coffee-fueled laughter, and the moments when actors became family. It was General Hospital, behind the velvet curtain, and it was unforgettable. Maurice, dressed in a classic black tuxedo tailored to understated perfection, stood quietly in a dimly lit corner of the set, almost blending into the shadows cast by a nearby lighting rig. The cameras weren't rolling yet, but the moment still carried the weight of something cinematic. Behind-the-scenes videographers, always on the lookout for organic, unfiltered moments, captured him as he leaned down slightly, whispering something tender and personal into Donna's ear. The young actress looked up at him, nodding solemnly before cracking a small smile, her tiny hands adjusting the satin bow on her dress. It was a rare, human moment, no dialogue, no direction, just a father-daughter duo, on and off screen, grounded in silent connection before stepping into the high-stakes performance of a red carpet entrance. Behind them, Jocelyn carefully tested her balance in a pair of freshly unpacked high heels, hand-selected by wardrobe just hours before. Her gown sparkled faintly under the ambient lighting, and though she had perfected her confident stride for the camera, the behind-the-scenes footage caught her gently wobbling and laughing under her breath, using the edge of the set for support. Beside her, Gio stood tall, his youthful excitement barely contained. His eyes darted around the studio, taking in the multitude of cameras, boom mics, gaffers calling out cues. This was his first nurses' ball, and his face betrayed both awe and readiness. He adjusted the cuffs of his formal wear like a pro, but anyone observing closely could tell, this wasn't just another shoot for him. This was a moment. In the control room just a few feet away from the action, the directors of the live broadcast sat hunched over a wall of monitors. Every camera angle, every audio level, every lighting intensity was being meticulously evaluated. As rehearsal feeds looped on screen, the room buzzed with tension and focus. Technical directors double-checked lighting plots to ensure not a single shadow would fall incorrectly during the live shot. A single glare or flicker could compromise the illusion. Off to the side, a production assistant kept one eye glued to a tablet, scrolling through live tweets, fan comments, and Instagram reactions, providing real-time analytics that would influence quick decisions in post-production. If a particular scene or costume generated more buzz, it could lead to extended cuts, alternate takes, or even reshoots for future episodes. Then, suddenly, all attention was redirected. The moment Tracy entered in a deep crimson gown, commanding presence and poise in every step, the floor manager called for a full camera reset. All cameras swiveled, lenses zoomed, and tracking systems locked into place. This was the shot. Tracy's unexpected confrontation and subsequent arrest by Chase, a moment scripted to jolt the audience and disrupt the seemingly glamorous flow of the gala. However, achieving this single dramatic payoff required tremendous coordination. Jane and Josh, consummate professionals, huddled between takes with the head writer and director. They dissected each beat of the scene, from eye contact to body positioning, ensuring that the confrontation felt authentic, and the emotional stakes were elevated just enough to stir controversy without slipping into melodrama. The behind-the-scenes footage captured Jane practicing her stride, marking her steps with tape on the floor, and adjusting the hem of her gown between takes. Josh, meanwhile, tested multiple approaches for how to physically apprehend her. His grip on her arm needed to look firm yet respectful, theatrical but believable. They rehearsed the arrest sequence multiple times, each take met with slightly different camera movements to capture varied angles. Even Tracy's signature glare was reviewed on playback monitors to make sure it landed with the right blend of defiance and disdain. On screen, it would look like an explosive, unanticipated moment of scandal. Off-screen, it was the product of precision, rehearsal, and trust. Another quietly beautiful moment took place just beyond the Metro Court entrance set, where the sunset lighting had been precisely calibrated to evoke the golden glow of a late spring evening. Here, Cody and Molly's first encounter of the night was being staged. The camera crew had constructed an extended dolly track, allowing for a graceful, cinematic glide alongside the actors as they walked side by side. The scene was simple in concept but emotionally rich. An exchange of glances, a soft smile, a conversation just beginning. Josh and Kristen, fully aware of the nuance required, walked the path over and over, adjusting pace and posture to achieve the natural synchronization that would sell the chemistry. As they practiced, the lighting team worked feverishly to shape the ambient glow. Reflectors were shifted minutely, gels swapped out to soften shadows on Kristen's hair, and dimmers tweaked to maintain a steady warmth across her face. The end result, as seen through the behind-the-scenes camera, was pure cinematic poetry. Molly bathed in gold, her face illuminated with both literal and emotional light as Cody quietly turned to look at her. The behind-the-scenes sound captured Kristen giggling mid-rehearsal, apologizing for stepping off mark, only to be met with Josh's playful shrug and a whispered, "Let's try it again." Leslie, ever the energetic presence, observed from just beyond the camera's edge. Her voice floated through the air as she prepped the next segment, praising the duo's natural rapport and cracking jokes with the crew in between takes. As she transitioned into a quick on-the-fly interview with Josh and Kristen, the contrast between the relaxed off-camera atmosphere and the emotionally charged on-screen storylines became striking. In front of the audience, it was a moment of burgeoning affection. Behind the scenes, it was a dance of lighting cues, camera focus, personal connection, and raw dedication. All of these scenes, Morris's quiet prelude with Donna, Jocelyn's balancing act in heels, Joe's wide-eyed anticipation, Tracy's arrest, and Cody and Molly's golden hour stroll, were more than just moments of a storyline. They were fragments of a larger tapestry woven together with the sweat, laughter, stress, and joy of dozens of professionals. The Nurses' Ball may be a fictional event, but in the world behind the curtain, it represents something very real, the spirit of collaboration, the pursuit of perfection, and the magic that happens when storytelling and production harmonize in perfect sync.